All right, welcome to the fourth and final game of the evening. Up this time, we are reviewing Dark. I guess it's known these days as Dark Complete Edition. I'm not sure if you can get the original version at all.
And
No,
this
if
is
it-
Dark with a Q.
yes. Um, I'm not sure if there's any sort of extra fancy pronunciation that comes with adding a Q to Dark. I'm not going to attempt it either. Anyway, Dark. Also, as far as I know, this is not an acronym. Like the Dark doesn't stand for anything. I could be mistaken about that, but it's not in the notes here. Anyway, Dark tells the story of Lloyd, a boy who finds himself in the middle of a lucid nightmare. Unable to wake up, Lloyd has to face his fears and decipher the meaning of his dream. Right. Um, that's the theming of the game. Um, what it actually is in terms of genre and all of that business is it's a puzzle game. Um, Probably best described as kind of a platformy, point and clicky puzzle game without actually being those. Um, that is to say, you go around solving puzzles with objects in the sense that like for example, you find a gear, you pick it up, you've got to go and put it somewhere else. That's not the puzzly bit. Um, the puzzle is figuring out how to get to that receptacle or how to get the object in the first place. Um, and a lot of what is in the puzzle construction here is the shifting of the wall. I'm not sure if Petty's gotten to it yet, um, but when you get up to a wall, yeah, see, right here is the gear puzzle I was describing. Like, you actually need three gears for
Mm.
it. Like, um, and yeah, when you get to see when you get go to the wall, and that's the that's the big gimmick here. The rotation of the right angles. You've got to do proper manipulation in order to get to the right spot to collect the object or deposit the object. That's the big gimmick. It's not the only one. There will be further puzzles along the way. Um, and indeed, this game will even do the um, central puzzle thing. Like a couple chapters down the line, there's a gate that's locked, and what you got to do is collect four objects, or the gear puzzle that was shown off previously. You got to gather all the objects and use them, and that'll open the way to the next chapter. You um, you know, yeah, like here we have the what is basically a slide puzzle. It's not too complicated, thankfully. Though it is still a tile puzzle, so it still, by definition, is bad. Um, but this is the kind of puzzle solving you will encounter throughout the game. Um, and how well is it all presented? Well, in terms of presentation, it's pretty immaculate.
Mm.
Especially helps that since this is a dream world, they can pull off all sorts of weird things without having to worry about justifications.
Has
Like,
a very Xbox Live indie feel to it, but at a much higher resolution.
right. I mean, it's in the same kind of spirit, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
as this is a downloadable title. Um,
Right.
but and yeah, its aesthetics here, while individually striking, like if you didn't know better, I wouldn't say that this looks exactly like a Tim Burton film or like Coraline or something like that, but you can see the influences, right?
Right.
But that being said, this kind of indie aesthetic, ironically, is fairly popular. Like Limbo comes to mind,
Yeah.
Inside as well. Granted, they're not at one to one to this, but you know, I can't say artistically this game is unique snowflake, you know, or in term like this game isn't like the first game we reviewed today, where it is truly something new and different. But that's fine because its execution is much better.
Mm-hmm.
Like this game sets out what it wants to do, and it does. Like the puzzles are very well laid out, and also thankfully don't overstay their welcome. Another way this feels like specifically an Xbox Live Arcade game is, um, allotting for figuring out the puzzles. Um, the, the chapters are very short, to the point where honestly I think the best way to play this would be like on the Nintendo Switch or with a Steam Deck, something portable, because it really works well as a transportation slash waiting type of game.
Mm.
Um, not perfectly because you do have to figure some things out, but it's also not locked down in moon logic either. There's no trying to figure out what the particular developer was parsing that particular day. There's no needing to grab the cheese, the cheese in order to make the machine work, or any other assorted Sierra game or Lucas and any one of those point and click adventure games. Um, it's not that style of game. Um, Even though it kind of looks it with the aesthetic and like once again going back to something you'll encounter a little bit later, like you have to get these detached arms, and you have to use them in order to help open a gate, um, and like if it were an actual point and click adventure game, you might have trouble figuring out how this all works together, but um there's still meaning behind it all, but it's more thematic. Like, what is this? It's more dream interpretation than puzzle logic, which are two very different things, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, and in addition to the base game, you do get two DLC packs for free. That's the complete edition. You get the tower, um, which is going through a mysterious tower, um, and the crypt, which is going through a crypt. New, more puzzles. Um, doesn't look like they get new. Reading up on the things, um, the crypt has a new game mechanic, um, which has you taking off your head and using it as a way to get around. Basically, you separate your head and your body into different entities. Um, I did almost forget to mention one last thing. This game does pull out the most cliched thing about indie horror games. Um, and what is that? Oh, hey, unstoppable monster thing, or guards, that you have to hide from. Seriously, that's all you do here. Um, it's so insubstantial. I nearly forgot the mechanic existed. Honestly, I think that could have been scrapped and nothing would have been lost. Maybe even improve the game a bit. Oh, yeah, I rather liked this puzzle because um, it takes full advantage of the wall manipulation. Anyway, so I think that's a good overview of the game, and it's a quality product. Now, in terms of pricing, it clocks in at $20, which it's a bit hard to recommend at that price, as good as it is. Like, but I think ultimately it's good enough to justify $20. That being said, you can't. This game does go on discount for about half that price. In fact, that's where I picked up Petty's copy, for like $8. So, for half that, it's more than worth it. Speaking of such things, Petty, is there anything you want to add to the discussion?
Not really. Like, the game's all right. Oh, what the? I think the game is froze. Oh no, I might have accidentally hit my keyboard. Never mind. But yeah, the game's all right.
Uh huh.
Um,
Well,
oh
I mean,
yeah,
if that's all you got,
like I've played this type of game before. Like I've
yeah,
played,
yeah,
you know, I've
yeah.
played Inside. I've played Limbo.
Mm,
This is basically this, but now you can actually see your player model instead of just being in shadow.
yeah. Black the Fall comes to mind as well, although that was much more industrial. I mean, that was my overall point.
Yeah.
This game, isn't breaking any new barriers in terms of aesthetic or design or anything, but that's not the point. It's also not super derivative of anything.
Hmm.
Like, I can't say that this is a game of, this is like a clone of Fez, even though it has a vaguely similar manipulation mechanic.
Hmm.
You
I,
know,
there is a little bit of thing I don't like right here where sometimes your camera can be stuck in the other room,
uh,
but there's an enemy right in the way where by the time you're in, you could be in their line of sight and die.
uh-huh.
But something like that could be easily solved by giving me the ability to adjust my camera with the right joystick.
Hmm. Well, maybe for the sequel,
Maybe.
if a sequel that ever gets built. And this game is a fair few years old at this point.
Fair
Anyway,
enough.
um, so that I think that'll about do it. Not just for the game, but for the review session. So coming up on the week ahead. Let me see here. We do have a new episode of MSP planned. Um, so look forward to that. But as far as Fragments goes, on Wednesday, December 11th, we will be welcoming Ellis Tukey of Spectra, 1970s immersive sim. I mean, that kind of gives away what this game is aiming to be. It's an M sim that has a big focus on the 1970s, which is interesting because The dev, as far as I understand, is a rather young girl, like in her mid-20s. So, point is not going to be, not somebody who lived through the era and wanting to relive their experiences,
Mm.
kind of deal. Um, Still, been looking forward to this. We were actually supposed to have her on a few months ago, but if you remember, you probably don't. She was actually the guest that we had scheduled the week of the hurricane. Like, and this is where things got rescheduled. Like, um, so thankfully, another inclement weather doesn't seem to be barreling down this week, so everything should go off. Anyway, no Friday show. So until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.